Hey, we're in Simon Rishon and Bays. We're going to do Siv Bays today. Okay. Shulchan Aruch says, Mutalit in begad of Lakoybetz in the Yehudi v'oidres la'avdan. Permissible to give, a person could put his clothing, give it to a koybetz, someone who's going to be performing the laundry over there, dry cleaning. If he's not Jewish, v'oidres la'avdan, he could give his skin to get tanned. Perush ha'uman shema'abed u'mesakin ha'oidres. This is talking about over here a worker. He's going to be fixing the skins over here. He's going to be fixing it up. Samacha chashecha, near the time of dark. So this is what it's talking about over here. Im katzos loidamim o sha'oiso isam b'toivos hana. If a person stipulated the amount of money, or he did it b'toivos hana. So what does this mean? Stipulated or he did it with toivos hana. So we'll just go out of order. The Mishna Berura says, meaning the person who wasn't Jewish, he said he would do it for free. And we're going to say that we're assuming it's because of a certain good that the Jew did previously. And therefore, they said the nafshek of it, he did it with the intention, his own intention. So that's what tovos hana means. He was like paying back a favor. What does it mean in katzatz loidamim? If money was set. So the Mishna Berura in Yud Dalet explains, Hainu sach yedua v'loi sechir yom. It was a set amount. It wasn't getting paid by the day. Set amount for the task. Bayin simin reish mem zayin siv beis. Dim hissen imo shi'itin lo yischar v'yispasher imo. Simin reish mem zayin says that if a person stipulated with a worker, he's going to give a worker a certain amount, and his worker agreed. Even though he didn't specify how much it was, it has the status of the set amount. Nowadays, when we give items to, or clothing to the launderer, to the dry cleaners, it's like we set amount. Because the set amount is well known. And therefore, that's where the custom is obvious to give them on Erev Shabbos near the time it gets dark.
Why would that be so obvious? It wouldn't make sense to do it earlier.
So the idea is that this is Dina Kekatzotz, is that it's set. And therefore, you could even give it right before dark. A practical example of this, the Shulchan Shlomo and Ozvav says that if you're going to give someone who isn't Jewish work to do nowadays, assuming it will be finished, that's considered katzatz, set amount. Another practical example in the Shilos and Shuvas or Letziyun, it has to do with what we're learning about over here, which is a deeper idea behind this sif, which is if a person drops their vehicle off at a mechanic before Shabbos, assume there could be enough time to do it, whatever. You don't know for sure he's doing it on Shabbos. The Or Letzion says it's fine, and others put this on the video on the car playlist. But let's just catch up on these Mishnah Beruras. Litin begadav, if you're giving your clothing. Then the same malacha applies l'shari malachos for other malachos, other work that a person does. V'atam, what's the reason? The kevan the katzav lo damim ba'ad malacha. So since you set an amount for money for the work, bin a makbar alav shiasenu takef, and you're not stringent that it should be done immediately. So furthermore, Kika Ovid b'yoyim Hashabbos adaisa denavshi kavod l'mar lahashlim malachasa. So when you do it on Shabbos, you're doing it with your own intention to finish the work. Yud Gimel in the Mishna Berura Samach HaChashecha Ube'inon sheyotziyim gam ki mepesach beis mevojon. We need to make sure that it's out of the entrance of your doorway while it's still day. So it has to leave your physical doorway and your premises. That's the idea over here. That's what we see from over here. The Be'er Halacha in Litin Begadov says this applies by any work, and the Beis Yosef concludes there's no difference if the person who isn't Jewish is completing the malacha, is completing the work, even on Shabbos, doesn't matter. For example, you give him the wood and he's making something, or he's sewing something, making a garment, there's no problem.
Huh. What we say though, that you have to give it with him enough time to either do it Erev Shabbos or you can't demand it after Shabbos.
Correct,
So we
yes.
see that stipulation.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I guess we'll see it.
Yeah. Who? Here it is. Shelo Yomar Lo Lasos b'Shabbos. Yeah. Now this is assuming that you're not going to tell him to do it on Shabbos itself. You can't tell him to do the work on Shabbos itself. Also to do the work in his house.
Office. It's business.
Okay. So he has to do it like that. What about if he's going to print something, his fellow isn't Jewish, based on what a Jew tells him to do, like a newspaper on Shabbos night, and it's going to get printed on Shabbos. Is that okay? So Rabbi Yaakov Braish in the Shalos Chuvas Chalkos Yaakov in Chelik Al Siman Samachay says is prohibited. Because it's as if you're telling him to explicitly to print the newspaper on Shabbos itself.
You're gonna want it or something.
Yeah, or if you have a boss of a business or a company of some sort and you say you come along and you tell one of the employees that works for you that you have to finish such and such a project by such and such a time, and it's on Shabbos, so you should be careful with that also. That's an important idea. The Shulchan Shlomo says that in Oz Zion, if you didn't give an explicit time, you didn't set an explicit time to finish the work, or it could be done not on Shabbos, so then it's fine. You could already tell him to do it before. So it's possible, even if the fellow isn't Jewish, says I'm going to finish it on Shabbos, there's enough time to do it. It could very well be fine.
So you're saying practically, it's Friday morning, you tell this guy to do a huge project, and you know that's unlikely to finish it on Friday.
That's what
That's okay.
That's what the Shulchan Shlomo is saying, right? Because you didn't set a specific time is the language that he's using to complete it.
You're saying you want them,
or he had enough time. He had enough time.
You wanted them
again.
by the
You didn't. Again, the Shulchan Shlomo No Zayin says if you did not specify an exact time that he should complete the work, or if there's enough time to complete the work, that it could be completed without any work on Shabbos, permissible for him to do it. That's fine. The Piskei Teshuvos says that it's permissible, at least in the first step before the new print says it's permissible for a Jew to give his car to get fixed at a mechanic who isn't Jewish. He picked it up on Sunday, it's definitely no problem. As long as there's enough time to do it either before Shabbos or after Shabbos before he picks it up.
So he can't pick it up first thing Sunday, right?
Could.
Well, he
So
could
there's
maybe.
enough time for him to fix the vehicle either before Shabbos or after Shabbos. And
Yeah.
regarding this, even if the vehicle will be fixed on Shabbos, it's permissible.
I mean, after Shabbos, even if the shop's closed, I mean, they close at 5 o'clock on Shabbos.
Doesn't matter because there's enough
Done
time
it most of
to
Shabbos.
fix it. He could have done it. And sometimes they do stay open later if they're backlogged and they need to. And however, yeah, so that's what he says. It's totally recognizable. It's going to be done on Shabbos. Could be a problem on our side. But again, this specific Shaila, I put it, it's on the playlist, the car playlist, with other sources as well and ideas behind it. The Mishna Berura writes in Tez Zayin, you could do it on Shabbos. B'cheinim Amar l'koybetz. And if he's going to tell the person who's doing the laundry or the dry cleaning, Re'ei shani sarach lahem b'moitzi Shabbos. What? Look, I see, I need the clothing right after Shabbos. Kiron sheroitze lisa miyad b'moitzi Shabbos. For example, let's say he wants to travel immediately after Shabbos. Gamza also afilu b'katzatz. That will be prohibited even if you set an exact amount that the laundry or the dry cleaning will cost. Since it's impossible to complete it unless the work will be done on Shabbos itself. It's considered as if he explicitly said that it should be laundered on Shabbos, and therefore he's like a messenger. And therefore, this is why the newspaper would be a problem if it's getting printed on Shabbos or anything that's getting printed on Shabbos, because you know with 100% certainty that it's going to be done on Shabbos.
No, if you could do some type of havla with that, right? If you just don't do Shabbos, every day, would that
That's
be
if
okay?
that's if there's time to do it. But if this you say it specifically has to get done by then, and you drop it off second before and you pick it up the second after.
No, 100% in that case, but I'm saying the
Yeah.
case with, say, the newspaper ad, right? You don't just pay for Shabbos, you're paying for the week.
Doesn't matter. If you say it, and you know it's going to get printed on Shabbos itself, that's going to be a problem. Because you know it's happening on Shabbos with certainty.
So that would be also,
Yeah.
even havla.
Not only would this be prohibited, but the Shara Tzion points out it's prohibited to say this even if you give it to him a lot of days beforehand. If you're telling him, no, you have to do the work on Shabbos itself or something like that, that could be a problem. So you have to be careful the choice of words that we use. We have to be careful.
What about a gardener? Let's say he wants to come to you on Shabbos.
It's definitely a problem. Just tell him to go home. Because you know he's doing it on Shabbos. He's before you, and it makes a lot of noise. It's definitely a problem.
Right. I was thinking the opposite, but here.
You know he's doing it on Shabbos.
He's
You
doing
see
it for
him,
his
he's in
own,
your house.
benefit, and you don't care if he
You have
does
to
it
tell him.
whenever he does it.
You have to
You
tell
prefer
him.
to do it.
You know he's doing your work. You have to tell him. You can't do it on Shabbos. That's why no Orthodox Jews have gardeners coming to their house on Shabbos.
One more scenario with the printing. He
Yeah.
has a daily rate and a weekly rate.
Mm.
Obviously, the weekly rate is cheap. Well, not cheaper, but obviously what comes out to be cheaper. Do you have to tell him, listen, I'm paying the weekly rate, but I only, you can only, please only do 6 days. And for him, it's easier to do to do it on Shabbos instead of pulling it out on, for that day.
What, printing it?
Yeah.
If you know he's printing it on Shabbos,
And you tell him you don't want to do it, but he does it on his own.
yeah.
I'm
that's
paying the
about-
weekly rate, but hey, don't print it on Shabbos. And he does it anyway.
What do you mean the weekly rate?
No, as I'm saying, right,
Paying for a job. You say that the job is a Monday through Sunday through
What,
Shabbos
the
job.
printed?
Yeah, the printed, yeah.
You're saying if you're the boss of the newspaper company.
I'm not the boss. I'm
outsourced.
I'm right. I'm outside. I'm the guard. I'm not the gardener. I'm whatever. Let's say the
Customer.
accountant. And I want to put an ad about my accounting services.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I go to the paper and I say, hey, I want to pay the weekly rate. It's still going to come out cheaper for me if I use it for 6 days.
Yeah.
Do me a favor. Don't print on shot. I don't want you printing the Friday
Why
night.
don't you want him printing Friday night?
Okay. So the
Why
problem-
don't I want
Yeah,
it?
why not?
Well,
Because
It's
he's
the
not
law.
allowed to do that Friday night, because I know for sure he's gonna be printing on Friday
No,
night
it
for
is.
Shabbos. What?
Even if he does, I mean, he's doing it for his own benefit.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
That's
It
your
seems,
question, I see.
that's my question.
yes, so the case of the Chalkas Yaakov is that
He's doing the whole printing for this guy, but this is just an ad. It's just he's already
you're
printing.
stipulating,
I'm
and
stipulating,
you're telling him.
I don't want you to do
Right,
it.
right, I know. Again, the case of the Chalkas Yaakov is you own the company, and you're telling him you have to print it on Shabbos, right? You're telling him, you got to get the fresh news Saturday. Everyone cares about it, whatever it is. If you know it's getting printed on Shabbos night, that's going to be a problem.
That's if you own the
Okay,
newspaper company?
yeah, that's if you own the company. If
Okay.
you're just putting an ad in, whatever, that's not on you. That has nothing to do with you.
Oh, okay, so if I'm putting in an ad,
Yeah,
if I pay the weekly rate, I don't have to stipulate
no,
anything.
no,
Okay,
that's already fine. That's a different story.
okay, so I've had an explain.
Now,
Okay,
now this is where it becomes a problem also of newspapers getting printed on Shabbos also, because it's the Saturday edition and it's getting, but that's another discussion.
Right, so I mean, how's that different than the gardener? Because it's not on your property?
It's not so simple that it's okay to even look at.
No, in his case with the ad. The
Oh,
ad is fine. It's different than the gardener because you're saying
the
'cause
gardener is a problem
it's on your property.
based on,
also.
did we already learn the Ashri Milsa? I think we
Talked about
touched, we
Ashri Milsa.
talked about it a little bit as an introduction. We're going to see it more explicit. It makes noise. It's an issue. It's the work is happening on Shabbos. Just like you're not allowed to do that on Shabbos, so your gardener can't do it on Shabbos, and therefore it's going to be a problem.
Well, you can't say that. You can't say that just so, just because you can't do it and someone else can't, the gardener, the guy can't do it because you can have a guy in your house too, and they can be doing stuff, you know, that
We
we
turn on
also
lights
can't
and
do.
stuff, whatever.
They could be doing.
In
But I think
certain circumstances, it's permissible, but the general halacha is anything that you can't do, someone else can't do it.
as far as it's visible to the public or it's noisy, right?
Yep. So let's continue. In Yud Zayin, this is assuming that he will do it in his own house. Rod Salomar, meaning to say, Shaloi bebeis Yisrael, not in the Jewish house. Da'az mechsi kilu hu oise b'shlichus Yisrael, because then it looks like he's doing it with the Jewish messenger. Because of a chayadim, the bebeis Yisrael aser, chayadim writes in the house of the Jew is prohibited. Afilu imhu davar sheminhag kol b'nei ha'ir litno bekablanos v'asu l'mechshudei b'schir yom. In the house of a Jew is prohibited, even if it is something that the custom is of all the people in the city to do it with kablanas. And they're not going to assume that it's a hired worker for the day. It's prohibited even if you're getting paid by the job, you're not getting paid by the hour and the entire day. It's prohibited because they're going to say, oh, you commanded him to do something on Shabbos that's prohibited to do. The Shara Tzion Yud Zayin says, Ra'isi beis makomesh shesoichin lamenu Yehudi bekablanus lenar es pishtehem bechatzrim menarim gam b'yom HaShabbos v'lo yafein oisin. Taftu mina kol yira bekablanus le'b'shus yisrael lo l'masar alkin yira l'hakdos l'mapishim me'ershabbos shir lehem legamri. This is exactly the gardener case that we're talking about. He says, I saw in some places that they hire people who aren't Jewish on Shabbos to do work that they're not allowed to do, and it's prohibited. He's talking about over here something with flax. What you should do is you should transfer the ownership rights of the flax to the person who's Jewish, and then he's like doing it on his own. And why is it a problem? Because it's in the domain of the Jew. Exactly what we're talking about. So we're all on the right track here. The Ramah writes, "V'imlo katzatz aser b'erev Shabbos." If you didn't set official price and amounts, prohibited on the eve of Shabbos. Final Simin Reish Mem Zayin Di Yishchulchen Di Moiselo Bechinem Daheinu B'Tov Asana. Look in Simin Reish Mem Zayin. Some argue and say that if you did it for free, if you see that that work was done on Shabbos, see that the work was being done on Shabbos, and it was that he's like repaying the favor that was done to him. You need to say that it shouldn't be done on Shabbos, and even if it was given a few days before Shabbos. Mishna Berura in Yud says if you didn't set a price, then it's going to be a problem. Excuse me, the Ramah said this. If you didn't set a price, then it's going to be prohibited. I know what this means is Shaloi Hisna. I know Shaloi Hisna Im Yisrael Oidu Secharo Ve'ina Yehudim Misapel Tashlumi Sachar Aser. This means that it didn't stipulate with the Jew regarding the payment. And the person who isn't Jewish anticipates that he's going to get paid Aser, it's prohibited. For Loya Amrina, and we don't say Adaisa Denafshi Ka'avid. We don't say he's doing it with his own intent. Kevan Yisrael lo havtichu b'hedja, since the Jew didn't explicitly guarantee him.
Yeah, how does that work? I guess when you live in a society that, you hire somebody for their services, you're going to pay them, right? Unless, you're a nice wife, and you're going to try and stiff them.
Right.
Don't laugh, I said that, but
What's the question?
people who I've worked for.
Yes, that's the question.
So in other words, everything is basically stipulated in our society nowadays, right?
Mhm.
You hire, the plumber, he's going to give you a bill,
Mm.
you're not cutsats, but it's coming. I mean, you're going to handle with him. I don't know. Is that a nafkamina?
I don't understand the exact question, but I would like to point out that any time before the work is even done, you should always have a rough estimate and discuss it beforehand. So for halachic reasons, that no one's considered
Right. No, that's
harming the other person in a way that they didn't expect.
just plain,
You don't want someone to get overpaid. You don't want someone to get underpaid. You don't
What
want
would you tell me?
you don't want the worker to hurt or the employer.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, I had a guy
if
like
it's
that.
if it's a quote and you say,
Well, no, he
you
didn't
say-
give me a quote. There's a guy from guy he's doing work, and I was like, he doesn't know. He doesn't want to give me a quote. So I said, you just want to get out of here.
you could say, if you don't want to give me a quote, then I'm gonna have to find someone else to do the job. You have to say, you have to give me an approximate area. Is it gonna be 200? Is it gonna be 2,000?
And I
Is
told him,
it gonna be 1,000?
"You
If you didn't want to, then you could say you're gonna have
get out
to,
there."
and you have to, before he even steps in your house, you say, do you do quotes for free or not? Because you don't want him surprising you then after and charging you money that you never thought that you had to pay. So all of that has to be discussed beforehand in a mature way. It's based on what's brought in Choshen Mishpat and Simanim Shin Lamed Aleph to Shin Lamed Tes.
And so practically for this is like we don't need an exact price. We just need like a range, right?
Cuts, yeah, it's
Cuts is the range.
yeah, approximate, but it means that you're not getting paid by the hour or the
Yeah.
day, you're getting paid by the job.
Job, yeah.
the plumber or with anything, oh,
Okay.
go to the automobile. Oh, it was supposed to be this, but I found this wrong and this and that, it happens.
You could tell them, don't do any work on it unless you call me beforehand. Because I have a right as a customer to get multiple quotes so that I don't pay 6 times over what the going rate is and get ripped off for no reason. And maybe if you're charging me $1,500, I'll try to do it myself. I'll watch videos, whatever it is. So you have to know. That's what it is. You have to know what are you capable of doing, what are you not capable of doing.
Mhm.
Yud Tes, Be'erev Shabbos. prohibited if you didn't set an amount. To Shabbos, and you give it to him on Erev Shabbos, it looks like you're giving it to him on the condition that he should do it on Shabbos itself. Ukisha kotzotz, and when you set a set amount, he's doing it with his own intention because he's not getting paid by the hour. He's not trying to drag out the process of the work. He just wants to get it over with in a proper way. Lo mechzi ki lo omer lo kim. It doesn't look like you're telling him this. Because the postscript, right? If you have time to finish it when it's still day, it's permissible, even on Erev Shabbos, and even if you didn't set an amount, according to everyone. Here's the line, fellas. If there's time to finish it while it's still day, it's permissible. Okay? That which the Ramah said on Erev Shabbos, because if it's a Reviv, Chamishi, let's say it was on Wednesday or Thursday, Shumuflug min Shabbos, which is far away from Shabbos, Mutulitin lo afilu shein yachal lagamer called Shabbos, permissible to give it to him, even if he's not able to finish it before Shabbos. Kivan shelo amar lo she'asa b'Shabbos, since you didn't tell him to do it on Shabbos itself. So that what the Ramah is saying that even if it wasn't set, if it's a few days before, then it's fine. If you didn't tell him to do it on Shabbos itself, if you told him to do it on Shabbos itself, then it's a problem. Some argue on this. And they say that if you do it for free, aka the tovos hana. What does that mean? Sfir lahu chaf. The dino kaloi katos. If you're doing it for free, it's as if you didn't send them out. And with the intention of the Jew that you did it, it's prohibited on Erev Shabbos. Look at the Darchei Moshe who agrees with those who argue. Look earlier, Siman Reish from Zion, the Mishna Berura, Sivkat and Tez Zion. Bechinam Chaf Aleph. Im loy shayina Yehudi ba'atva maskil mi Yisrael loymer shatz bechinam. The person who's in Jewish says begin with the Jew, and he suggests just do it for free. As vade de daisa al tova shekibo mena mikfar v'dina kikatza. So then for sure, the intention is on the favor that's being repaid from a previous good act that was done, and that is like you stipulated. But if you see him do the work on Shabbos, you have to tell him not to do it on Shabbos, even if he's just repaying a favor. Even though the Shulchan Aruch was lenient, Lamala above, we said that he could repay a favor as long as it was still day. You don't need to worry that he's going to do it on Shabbos, even if he knows it. The Jew knows that he's going to do it on Shabbos. Since he's not commanding him to do so on Shabbos. As we already learned earlier, and Gimel. Nevertheless, when he comes to your house and you see that he's doing the work, that looks like he's doing it with his own intention, since he's not getting paid. It looks like he's doing it, I think, with the intention of the Jew, rather, the medaisa of it. With the intention of the Jew, he's doing it, with the knowledge of the Jew. Because he's not getting paid. You need to tell him not to do it. But if you stipulated with him originally that you're going to pay him, even though you didn't set an amount, then you don't need to protest him because he's doing it. He's doing his work he's involved with. So that could be a difference if he's getting paid or not. Of Gimel went with this. The Ramah said even if you gave him a few days to do it, it's still going to be a problem. Certain alaymer meaning the bezo hanasina lein Yehudi avikuli amamoter. Kanizka alafilu hachi sarachim kukasharayu. In this case, when the non-Jew is doing it, it's permissible, but even so, you need to protest him when you see him. But then you should know, Dima, Hayayina Yehudi Tzchir Yom Etzlo, Yimei Chov, Urotza Ata Gamkin, Lasos Malchaso, Bebeso Besina. Let's say a person who wasn't Jewish, he's hired every single day during the week. And he wants right now to do the work privately. You need to protest him. Even if he's not doing it in front of you. Let's say if you command the person who isn't Jewish to make shoes for you, and you see that he's doing it on Shabbos, even if you didn't send him out, you don't need to protest. Because not the Jews yet. If he wants, he could just sell it to someone else, and therefore,
It's not.
and do other shoes, right? He's not dealing with his own. So that is basically the sif over here, and we will pick it up on this tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.
Great.
Yeah.
Shkoch.